Hey everyone, just wanted to make a quick video and explain that we're all human and that maybe out of this we can all learn just a little tiny thing to make us a little bit better at what we do. So early on this year, I had helped a close friend put together a 5.7 liter Hemi. He had two engines, one that had lost a bottom end and another that had lost a top end. So between the two, we had enough parts to make one good one. We sent the crank out to be machined. We had a set of heads, we had the valves done, resurfaced, all of that. We re-ringed some pistons, put it all together. Fantastic engine. And when I had honed the cylinders, we had the block completely stripped outside. We gave it a thorough soap and water and solvent, and soap and water again, bath, got it all cleaned up. We pulled all the oil gallery plugs out, rinsed and cleaned and brushed and made it spotlessly clean inside. And then I went back and Teflon and reinserted all the oil gallery plugs and torqued them down, and being particular, I went around about 3 times around the engine to make sure I hit them all and they're torqued and snugged and everything was fine. So let me back up a step. Over a period of a few weeks, I get the chance, I get out there, we put this engine together. And it's complete. Valve covers to oil pan. Everything is buttoned up, the front end, the front cover, damper, it's all there. Not sure if we left the intake off or not, because it might have been easier putting it back in the Durango without the intake. But that's neither here nor there. So, engine's all complete. The only thing left off is the rear main seal retainer housing. And because it was on an engine stand, there just wasn't quite enough clearance to slip that guy up in there and install it. So, no big deal. As soon as we pull it off the stand with the picker to go to install it, we put that retainer housing on. No big deal. So I don't get a chance to go out there and give him a hand actually putting the engine in. He puts the main seal on and puts it together, gets the truck running. It's fantastic. He's out driving. It runs fantastic. And then he starts having an oil leak. And when he looks at it, he feels like it's the rear main seal. So he goes through the big struggle with the transmission and everything else to get it apart, change that rear main seal, put another one in. Off he goes. He's out driving, using the truck. Start getting drips again. Oil's still leaking out of there. So I believe he does it a second time, feeling that maybe he didn't silicone the housing or something quite right, that it was a mistake he was making. Again, we have a leak. And I am so buried, I never get a chance to go out and help him. Great friend I am. So, eventually, he comes and inspects and looks at it really close for like the 3rd time, and this is what he comes to find. So I have this 5.7 Hemi that was originally intended for the Dart, and I can use it to show you. Now, right here, actually hold on, let me get some light on the subject here. Okay, in the back of this engine we have 2 oil galley plugs. One right here, and there's another one, let's see if we can get it in there, right here. See right here. So there's 1 and 2. Somehow, and again, I have no explanation, just an oops, I'm afraid, those plugs were not tight. They were loose and weeping, and evidently one was just about ready to come out when he found the problem. So what does that tell us? It tells us that I blew it. Somehow, and again, I have no explanation, because in my mind, I recall doing laps around that block, double, triple checking something as crucial and critical as oil galley plugs. So, what can I say? Oops. Now, imagine the timing was fantastic that he caught this, because he said one of the plugs was literally about to fall out. And that would have created an instant drop in oil pressure down to nothing. And of course, that wouldn't have happened when he was sitting in the truck warming it up in the morning, staring at the gauges. It would have probably been during some hard pull towing something out on the street. And he would have lost an engine, which means I would have been rebuilding that one on my dime and putting it in for him to make it right. So, thankfully, he caught it. But what does that tell us? A lot of old mechanics, when I was first coming up and apprenticing and learning, a lot of guys used to say things like, anytime you put a bolt in a hole, never walk away from it until it's tight, torqued, etc. Now, obviously, some people have exceptions, like say if you're putting a crank in and you get all your main caps and you'll snug them, then you'll go around and torque them all at once. Or if you're putting in, pistons and rods, and you may snug everything and then torque everything as you go. Now, there's another school of thought as far as doing rods where you should do each one as you go, rotate and check for any binding or odd issues. But I won't get into that. Generally, I may have made a mistake here. I probably went and finger tighted all the plugs in and then went around and snugged them in. And how I missed two on the back of the engine, again, I have no idea. All I can do is profusely apologize for my idiocy. It was a rookie mistake. And, after wrenching since I was 15, and having been a diesel mechanic professionally for 20 years, this is almost unforgivable. But we're all human. So I guess what we can learn out of this is probably to go back to what those old schoolers said. If you put a bolt in a hole, finish it before you move on to anything else. Because we all forget. We all need a Coke or a smoke break or some coffee, or, the wife sidetracks us or whatever. And we can forget to come back to an individual fastener. And it only takes one fastener, doesn't matter what it is or where, to cause a huge crisis down the road. So, anyway, that's it. Food for thought. That's it, that's all. Until next time. See ya.